I'm James Graham, CEO of Recce Pharmaceuticals Limited, ASX code RCE. So what is Recce? Recce is globally the most advanced new class of anti-infective, in fact the first in over 40 years. We're the only FDA-qualified infectious disease designated compound, awarded by the FDA, and the most advanced escape pathogen-capable compound, which is 80% of all bacterial species clinically in the world at this time, according to Pew Charitable Trusts. We have multiple preclinical and clinical candidates focused on two things: unmet medical needs of large patient populations. Who is Recce and what are we about? So I started as the founding investor, supporting a fellow known as Dr. Graham Melrose, who was former head of research of Johnson & Johnson Australasia for about 10 years. My investment initially was to get him out of his retirement stage into a laboratory to identify a compound that works and keeps on working with repeated use, and that discovery was made. Supporting us is Dr. John Prendergast, New York Stock Exchange chairman, lead director of a biotech company as well on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange. Dr. Alan Dunton was global CEO of Janssen Research, so Johnson & Johnson Research, one of the largest organisations in the pharmaceutical world, and in fact led Roche's clinical trials. So company overview. We're listed on the ASX. We have a market capitalisation of around $100 million. Fidelity, for what it's worth, is one of our largest shareholders at 7.7% of the company. We're debt-free, we're caveat-free. The top 20 shareholders own about 51% of the stock, so quite significant founder ownership within that. We are the first new class of broad-spectrum antibiotics in over 40 years. The challenge, of course, with antibiotics is the ability to work and keep on working with repeated use that this company is founded upon. Supporting that, the Australian government recently awarded the largest, to my knowledge, advanced finding, underwriting and supporting our R&D rebate, not only locally, but extending that internationally to a quantum of up to $55 million over 3 years. Governments change, legislation changes. That government-written guarantee or commitment that if we spend money to develop this new class of antibiotic, they will rebate it. So we have a pipeline across multiple unmet medical needs. When we look to the administration of IV being straight into human vein, we look to the space of sepsis or urosepsis, being the underlying urinary tract infection, through to the all-out septic state, because 30% of all septic infections are due to an underlying UTI. It's actually the largest and most expensive condition treated in health, double the second most. We've demonstrated our compound to be safe, we've demonstrated it to be well tolerated, and now we're seeing what we can do on an efficacy front there. Topically, we've dosed many persons in the burn wound space, led by Professor Fiona Wood out of Western Australia's leading teaching hospital, and showed an ability to work against a broad spectrum nature of bacterial infections. We recently announced multiple patients successfully dosed and in fact cured, or infection resolved is the technical term, for diabetic foot infections, and we have multiple preclinical candidates. So we spoke about sepsis. It's about a population globally from a patient perspective of 50 million people worldwide each year. 1 in 5 of those die. The reason, of course, is when you present to a hospital. I mean, I've been a sepsis patient. In fact, I was at an Emergence conference in London, which invoked that. A dog attacked me. I didn't provoke it, but of course that did lead to sepsis in the coming weeks. And what basically happens is you administer a cocktail of antibiotics because you don't know, or the clinicians don't know, what type of bacteria the patient has. So it's guesswork. Recce eliminates that guesswork. We administer on first patient presentation. We work faster than all existing antibiotics, and if you have bacteria in your blood, which you're not supposed to have, that's the definition of sepsis, we will work and keep on working with repeated use. Briefly, how we work, of course, we shut down the cellular energetics. We shut it down faster than any other antibiotic known to date, and we stop the cell division or the Z-ring complex. This is it at a molecular level. Of course, picture tells 1,000 words. What you see on the left-hand side there is in the dish at the same time, you've got the little deadly E. coli growing and multiplying, and the healthy eukaryotic cells. Really, your enemy is the E. coli, your ally is the healthy eukaryotic. In the dish at the same time, you see the enemy, the E. coli cells, are not growing. The bacteria is dead. The target has been hit. Whilst the ally continues to grow and multiply, we have an incredible selective ability of attack. We work and keep on working with repeated use, as this one demonstrates. We work faster and in situations where other antibiotics do not work. Ciprofloxacin, colostin is kind of poison. In fact, does not work. It takes a lot of exposure, a lot of concentration, and has significant toxicity associated with it. Recce works quickly and continues to work with repeated use, no matter how much those bacteria evolve to survive it. They simply will not. We've demonstrated our compound to be safe and well tolerated when IV administered. We did a study according to FDA standards, about 80 healthy volunteers, 60 of those received Recce. We demonstrated our compound to have a plasma concentration that correlates as the dose increases and a urine concentration that correlates with that. What's unique about that is a compound that can go from the veins through your kidneys into the human bladder, provides a full cleansing cycle to get the underlying urinary tract infection, that is 30% of septic patients, through to the all-out septic state, from the initial phase being first patient presentation through to the all-out septic state. We're demonstrating that at this moment via a fast infusion model for the first patient presentation in GP settings. And here we come across to our topical. So this is looking at it from a spray formulation onto the infected wound, whether it be a burn wound, whether it be a diabetic foot ulcer, a complicated skin infection. And here we've demonstrated, of course, our compound to be efficacious in both burn wounds and diabetic ulcers. This is the diabetic study where, of course, we demonstrated in technical terms infection resolved. That's the healthcare term for the patient was cured. The escalated therapy we see there was only due to the patient being morbidly obese, I suppose I'm allowed to say that. It was a 235 kilogram patient that also had to then take additional antibiotics, meaning not just the spray solution itself. And of course, they were cured of their infection. Forgive the pictures, but basically this shows the ability to work in a very, very expedient manner. We have granted patents around the world, which take our market monopolies out to about 2041, composition of matter patents, method of manufacture, etc. We make our compound out in our Macquarie Park facility. We have high yields, we have reproducibility, and we have quality suitable for human stage. That concludes my presentation. Recce Pharmaceuticals Limited, ASX RCE. We have a stand here and we would certainly welcome speaking with you further. Thank you.